I never thought a simple text message would destroy my marriage. But there it was, glowing on my husband's phone at 2:47 a.m. Can't wait to see you tonight. My name is Harper, and until that moment, I thought I had the perfect life. A beautiful 4-year-old son, a successful husband, and a cozy house in the suburbs that I'd spent countless hours making into a home. I was even starting to get recognition for my graphic design work. Everything seemed right. I wasn't snooping, not really. Ethan's phone had been buzzing repeatedly, and I reached over to silence it so it wouldn't wake him. That's when I saw it, a message from someone saved simply as V. My hands trembled as I stood in our dark bedroom, the blue light from his phone casting strange shadows on the wall. Ethan slept peacefully, one arm thrown carelessly across my empty side of the bed. He looked so innocent, the same man who'd brought me coffee every morning for the past 6 years. "Mommy," Lucas's small voice made me jump. I quickly set the phone down and turned to find my son rubbing his eyes in the doorway, clutching his stuffed dinosaur. "Hey, buddy," I whispered, guiding him back to his room. "Bad dream?" He nodded, climbing into his race car bed. The monsters were chasing me again. I sat on the edge of his bed, running my fingers through his soft brown hair, so much like his father's. "No monsters can get you here, remember? Mommy and Daddy won't let them. Promise. Promise." The word felt like ash in my mouth. After Lucas fell asleep, I returned to our bedroom. Ethan's phone was exactly where I'd left it, but now it felt like a bomb waiting to detonate. I picked it up again, my heart pounding as I scrolled through his messages. The conversation with V went back weeks, filled with inside jokes and subtle innuendos that made my stomach turn. "Coming to bed?" Ethan's sleepy voice startled me. I set the phone down carefully, forcing a smile. "Just checking the time. Lucas had another nightmare." "Poor kid." Ethan yawned and rolled over. "You're the best mom, you know that?" I slid under the covers, keeping as much distance between us as possible. "Thanks," I managed to say. As I lay there in the dark, listening to Ethan's steady breathing, my mind raced through the past few months. The late meetings, the business trips that seemed to multiply, the new cologne I'd noticed last week. All the little things I'd dismissed suddenly formed a pattern I couldn't unsee. My sister Emily had warned me about Ethan's charm when we first started dating. "He's too smooth," she'd said. "Nobody's that perfect." But I'd been so sure she was wrong. So certain that our love was different. Morning came too quickly. I watched Ethan get ready for work, noting how carefully he chose his tie, how he checked his reflection just a little too long. He kissed me goodbye like always, but now it felt like a stranger's lips against my cheek. "Big presentation today," he said, adjusting his cuffs. "Might be home late." "Of course," I replied, wondering if V would be there. After he left, I sat at our kitchen island, staring at my untouched coffee until it went cold. The house felt different somehow, larger and emptier, like a stage set where I was suddenly aware of all the props and fake walls. My phone sat heavy in my hand as I pulled up the contact for Jake Thompson, private investigator. Emily had used his services during her divorce last year. I never thought I'd need to save his number. I took a deep breath and pressed call. As the phone rang, I caught my reflection in the window. I barely recognized the woman staring back at me. But in her eyes, I saw something new emerging through the hurt: determination. Meeting Jake Thompson felt surreal, like I was watching someone else's life unfold. We sat in a quiet corner of a coffee shop across town, far from anywhere Ethan might show up. The investigator looked nothing like I'd imagined, more like a tired high school teacher than the hardened detective I'd pictured. "Your sister Emily spoke highly of you," he said, sliding a business card across the table. "Though I'm sorry you need my services." I wrapped my hands around my coffee cup, seeking warmth. "I need to know for sure. I can't confront him without proof." Jake nodded, jotting notes in a small notebook. The not knowing is usually worse than the truth. "When did you first notice changes in his behavior?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Ethan's face lit up my screen, and my stomach lurched. "Hey," I answered, trying to keep my voice steady. "Harper, I've got great news." His enthusiasm felt like a knife twist. Remember that promotion I've been working toward? They're fast-tracking me for it. We should celebrate tonight. I'll make reservations at Bellini's. Tonight? I glanced at Jake, who was pretending to be fascinated by his coffee. I already promised Emily I'd help her with something. A pause. Emily? Since when do you have plans with Emily on a Tuesday? Since she asked for help with her website redesign. The lie came easily, surprising me. Rain check. Sure, he said, but his tone had shifted. Everything okay? You've seemed distant lately. I closed my eyes, fighting back tears. Just busy with work. We'll celebrate another time. After hanging up, Jake looked at me thoughtfully. That promotion he mentioned, is it with Green and Associates? Yes, why? Might be relevant. They've had some interesting internal changes lately. He made another note. Does the name Vanessa Green mean anything to you? My coffee turned to acid in my stomach. Green? Like the company. The founder's daughter. Recently joined the executive team. The pieces started falling into place. The late meetings, the sudden focus on his appearance, the text messages. I whispered. Jake's expression softened. I'll start digging today. Give me a week. That evening, I sat with Lucas at dinner, watching him arrange his dinosaur nuggets in a circle. Ethan's empty chair seemed to mock me. When's Daddy coming home? Lucas asked, pushing a nugget toward the center of his plate. Late, buddy. He's got a big meeting. Another lie. I was becoming good at those. The doorbell rang, making me jump. I wasn't expecting anyone, and Ethan had his key. Through the peephole, I saw Emily, holding up a bottle of wine. Thought you might need this, she said when I opened the door. Lucas. Guess who brought ice cream? While Lucas demolished his dessert, Emily and I sat at the kitchen island. Jake called me, she said quietly. Vanessa Green, huh? I don't know anything for sure yet, Harper. Emily grabbed my hand. Stop making excuses for him. I watched you do this for months, explaining away the late nights, defending his absences at family events. You deserve better. It's not that simple. I pulled my hand away. We have Lucas to think about. And what's Lucas learning right now? That it's okay for his father to. Mommy, Lucas called from the living room. Can we watch a movie? Sure, sweetie. Pick one out. I turned back to Emily. I need proof first. Real proof. Emily's phone chimed. She glanced at it, then did a double take. Speaking of proof, she handed me her phone. It was an Instagram post from an hour ago, a business dinner at Bellini's. In the background of the group photo, partially obscured but unmistakable, was Ethan. His arm was around a striking woman in a red dress, their heads tilted together, laughing at some private joke. The caption read, "Celebrating another successful quarter with the team. #GreenAssociates, #WorkFamily." My hands shook as I zoomed in on the woman's face. She was beautiful, younger than me, with the confident smile of someone used to getting what she wanted. That's her, isn't it? Emily asked softly. Vanessa? I nodded, unable to speak. The room felt too small suddenly, the walls closing in. In my pocket, my phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. Meeting running late. Don't wait up. I handed Emily's phone back to her, my decision made. Jake better work fast, I said. Because when I confront Ethan, I want to destroy him. Jake's manila envelope sat on my kitchen counter for 3 hours before I could bring myself to open it. Lucas was at preschool, and Ethan was supposedly at a client meeting in the city. The house felt too quiet, like it was holding its breath. Inside, I found dozens of photos, each one a fresh punch to the gut. Ethan and Vanessa leaving office buildings together. Sharing intimate dinners. Holding hands in a park I didn't recognize. The timestamps showed a pattern going back months. My phone rang, making me jump. It was Jake. Did you get the package? He asked. Yes. My voice sounded strange, distant. There's more, isn't there? Hotel receipts, credit card statements. He paused. And something else you should know. The promotion Ethan's being considered for? It was originally meant for someone else. Someone more qualified. I closed my eyes, already knowing. Let me guess. Vanessa's father made some adjustments. The timing lines up. The front door opened, and I nearly dropped the phone. Ethan walked in, loosening his tie. My heart stopped. He was supposed to be in the city. "I'll call you back," I whispered to Jake, hanging up. "Hey, beautiful," Ethan said, kissing my cheek. Meeting got cancelled. Thought we could have lunch together. He noticed the photos spread across the counter. "What's all this?" I watched his face as he processed what he was seeing. The color drained from his cheeks, but something else flickered in his eyes. Not shame, but calculation. "Harper, I can explain." "Explain what?" I picked up a photo of him kissing Vanessa outside a hotel. "Explain how you've been sleeping with your boss's daughter to get ahead? Or explain how you've been lying to me for months?" "It's not what you think." He reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "This thing with Vanessa, it's complicated. The company's going through changes and I needed to." "To what?" "Secure your position? Trade our marriage for a promotion." His expression hardened. "You don't understand corporate politics. Sometimes you have to play the game." "The game?" I laughed, but it came out more like a sob. "Is that what you call betraying your family?" "I did this for our family." He slammed his hand on the counter, making the photos jump. "Do you think I enjoy working 60-hour weeks? I do it so you can stay home with Lucas, so we can afford this house, so." "I work too, Ethan. I contribute. And I never asked for any of this, the big house, the expensive cars. Those were your choices." He ran his hands through his hair, a gesture so familiar it hurt. "Where did these photos come from? Does it matter? You hired someone to follow me?" His voice rose. "You invaded my privacy? You invaded our marriage." I was shouting now, years of trust crumbling between us. "How long has it been going on?" "Since before Lucas." "Don't bring him into this." "Why not?" "You did, the moment you decided your ambition was more important than your son's family." The front door opened again. Emily stood there, Lucas holding her hand. My sister took one look at the scene and understood. "Hey, buddy," she said to Lucas. "Want to show me that new video game you were talking about?" Lucas looked between Ethan and me, his lower lip trembling. "Are you fighting?" "No, sweetie, I managed. Just grown-up stuff. Go with Aunt Emily." After they disappeared upstairs, Ethan's facade cracked. "Please," he whispered. "We can work this out. I'll end it with Vanessa. I'll find another job." I picked up another photo, this one of them laughing together at what looked like a company party. Their body language spoke of intimacy, of shared secrets, of betrayal. "You know what hurts the most?" I gathered the photos into a neat pile. "Not the affair. Not even the lies. It's that you really believe you did this for us. Harper, I want you out." My voice was steady now, certain. "Today. And when you explain to Lucas why Daddy's not coming home tonight, I hope you remember it was your game that brought us here." I walked upstairs to my son, leaving Ethan standing in the kitchen with the evidence of his choices scattered around him. Each step felt like moving through water, but I kept going. There would be time for breaking down later. Right now, Lucas needed his mother to be strong. Behind me, I heard Ethan's keys hit the counter, followed by the soft click of the front door closing. The first week after Ethan left, I threw myself into work, taking on extra freelance projects to keep my mind occupied. Lucas kept asking when Daddy was coming home, and each time, the lie stuck in my throat. "Soon, buddy. He's just busy with work." Then came the email from Green and Associates HR department. I stared at my laptop screen, reading the message again. They wanted to hire me for a complete website redesign, a massive project that would normally thrill me. The sender's name made my stomach turn. Vanessa Green, creative director. My phone buzzed with a text from Emily. "Did you see the news?" I opened the link she sent. There it was in the business section. Green and Associates announces new executive team. The photo showed Ethan and Vanessa standing side by side at a press conference, her hand resting possessively on his arm. The article praised their innovative vision for the company's future. My phone rang. "Ethan." "Before you hang up," he said quickly, "I need to talk to you about Lucas." "What about him?" "I got an apartment close to his school. I think it's time we discussed custody arrangements." The room tilted sideways. Custody? You walk out on us, move in with your girlfriend, and now you want to talk about custody? She's not, he stopped. Look, I know you're angry, but Lucas needs both his parents. He needed both his parents 3 months ago when you were sleeping with your boss's daughter. A long pause. Harper, about the website project. You knew? Of course he knew. Did you and Vanessa plan this together? Some kind of twisted olive branch. It was her idea. She thinks you're talented. This could be good for your career. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound.
Right.
Because working for my husband's mistress is exactly what I need right now. Ex-husband, he corrected quietly. The papers are being drawn up. The words hit me like a physical blow. Even though I'd known this was coming, hearing him say it made it real.
The doorbell rang.
Through the window, I saw Jake Thompson standing on my porch. I have to go, I told Ethan, hanging up before he could respond. Jake looked grim. We need to talk, he said when I opened the door. There's more to the Green and Associates situation than we thought. He spread documents across my kitchen table, financial records, emails, meeting minutes. Ethan's promotion wasn't just about his relationship with Vanessa. They needed him specifically. Why? Because he knows where the bodies are buried. Jake pointed to a series of transactions. The company's been cooking their books for years. Ethan was in charge of certain creative accounting practices. My hands shook as I examined the papers. Are you saying he's involved in fraud? I'm saying he knows enough to bring down the whole company, which makes him either very valuable, Jake paused meaningfully, or very dangerous. Does Vanessa know about this? That's the interesting part. Jake pulled out another document. These transfers suggest she's been gathering evidence against her own father's company for months. And now she's put Ethan in a position where he has to choose her or his career. I sat back, processing this new information. So, the website project could be a peace offering, or a way to keep you quiet. Jake leaned forward. The question is, what are you going to do with this information? Before I could answer, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. We should talk. Coffee tomorrow? Vanessa. I showed Jake the message. He whistled softly. Careful. This could be a trap. Or it could be my chance to understand what's really going on. I thought of Lucas, of the custody battle looming ahead. Knowledge is power, right? Just remember who you're dealing with. Jake gathered his documents. These people play for keeps. After he left, I stood at my kitchen window, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of red. The same colors Vanessa wore in that first photo at Bellini's. I picked up my phone and typed, "Name the place." Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone. Sometimes it's about understanding them well enough to make them destroy themselves. The cafe where I agreed to meet Vanessa was exactly what I expected: sleek, modern, and probably charging $15 for a latte. She sat at a corner table, wearing a cream-colored blazer that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. "Thank you for coming," she said, gesturing to the seat across from her. "I ordered you a cappuccino. Ethan mentioned it's your favorite." The casual reference to my husband's intimate knowledge made my fingers curl into fists under the table. Let's skip the small talk. Why am I here? Because we both want to protect the people we care about. She slid a USB drive across the table. Everything you need to know about Green and Associates' financial irregularities is on here, including Ethan's involvement. I stared at the drive. Why would you give me this? Insurance. Her perfectly manicured fingers traced the rim of her cup. My father's empire is built on lies, and Ethan, well, he's in deeper than he realizes. And you're just now developing a conscience? A shadow crossed her face. I've been gathering evidence for 2 years. The affair with Ethan wasn't planned. It complicated things. My phone buzzed, a text from Emily. Lucas asking for his dad again. What should I tell him? Vanessa watched me read the message. Ethan talks about Lucas constantly. He really does love him. Don't. I put my phone away. You don't get to talk about my son. Fair enough. She leaned forward. But you should know, my father's planning to make Ethan the fall guy if things go south. That USB drive proves otherwise. Why should I believe you? Because I'm not my father. Or Ethan. She stood, gathering her designer bag. Check the drive. Then decide what kind of revenge you really want. After she left, I sat there holding the USB drive, feeling its weight like a loaded gun. My phone buzzed again, Jake this time. Don't plug that drive into any personal devices, he said when I told him about the meeting. Could be malware. Bring it to my office. An hour later, we watched as Jake's computer displayed document after document. Bank statements, emails, board meeting recordings. It was all there. A decade of financial manipulation, with Ethan's fingerprints all over it. This is enough to put several people away for a long time, Jake said quietly. Including your husband. I thought about Lucas asking for his father. About the custody battle ahead. What if I don't want that? Then what do you want? Before I could answer, my phone rang.
Ethan.
Harper, we need to talk. Now. His voice was tight with panic. Vanessa's father knows about the investigation. He's calling an emergency board meeting tomorrow. And he's going to pin everything on me unless.
He paused.
Unless I give him something better. The pieces clicked into place. Vanessa hadn't just given me insurance, she'd given me a weapon. The USB drive, I said. That's what this is about. You have it. Relief flooded his voice. Harper, please. If this gets out, I'll lose everything. Lucas will lose his father. You should have thought about that before you started sleeping with the boss's daughter. This isn't about the affair anymore.
He was shouting now.
This is about our son's future. No. I cut him off. This is about you facing consequences for once in your life. Silence stretched between us. When he spoke again, his voice was different, smaller, more honest than I'd heard in years. What do you want? I looked at the USB drive, thinking about Vanessa's words about revenge, about what kind of justice I really wanted. Full custody of Lucas, I said. A fair divorce settlement. And you come clean to our son about why you left. No more lies about work trips or late meetings. That's it. I turned to Jake, who nodded approvingly. Because unlike you and the Greens, I don't need to destroy someone to feel powerful. After hanging up, I handed the USB drive to Jake. Make copies, I said. Just in case Ethan forgets our deal. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about winning. It's about choosing when to stop playing the game. The divorce papers arrived on Lucas's 5th birthday. I found them wedged between cheerful cards from relatives and a package from Emily. Perfect timing, as always. Ethan had signed them already, his signature as confident as ever. I set them aside and focused on hanging streamers, determined not to let them ruin today. Lucas deserved one normal celebration, even if nothing else in his life felt normal anymore. The cake's here. Emily called from the kitchen. And Jake's bringing extra ice cream. I was arranging presents when the doorbell rang. My heart stopped. It was too early for party guests. Through the peephole, I saw Ethan, holding a wrapped gift and looking more disheveled than I'd ever seen him. I know I'm not invited, he said when I opened the door. But it's his birthday. Before I could respond, Lucas came running. Daddy. Ethan caught him in a hug, and for a moment, I saw genuine joy break through his carefully maintained facade. Hey, buddy. Happy birthday. Are you staying for my party? The silence that followed felt endless. Actually, Emily appeared behind me. Lucas, honey, why don't you help me with the balloons? After Lucas disappeared inside, Ethan's shoulders slumped. Harper, I need to tell you something. The board meeting, it didn't go well. What happened to our deal? They had more evidence than we thought. Things not even on that USB drive. He ran a hand through his unkempt hair. They're launching a formal investigation. I might be facing charges. The world tilted sideways. Charges? As in criminal charges. I've been advised to leave the country. His words hit like physical blows. Tonight. What about Lucas? That's why I'm here. I need to say goodbye. Rage rose in my throat.
No.
You don't get to disappear from his life. Not like this. I don't have a choice. His composure cracked. If I stay, I'll end up in prison. Is that what you want? What I want. I stepped closer, keeping my voice low so Lucas wouldn't hear. I wanted a husband who wouldn't betray his family. I wanted a father for my son who wouldn't run away when things got hard. I wanted. Mom. Lucas called from inside. When are my friends coming? I closed my eyes, fighting back tears. Go inside. Say goodbye if you must. But make it quick and make it kind. He's 5 years old. He doesn't deserve to carry your guilt. Watching Ethan explain to our son why he had to go away, using words like business trip and special project, was like watching a car crash in slow motion. Lucas's face crumpled with each vague promise about calling and visiting soon. After Ethan left, the party went on as planned. Kids played, cake was eaten, presents were opened. But Lucas's eyes kept drifting to the door, waiting for his father to return. That night, after everyone had gone and Lucas was finally asleep, Emily found me sitting in the dark kitchen, staring at the divorce papers. You okay? I thought I wanted revenge, I said. To make him hurt like he hurt me. But watching Lucas today, this isn't your fault, isn't it? I pushed him into a corner with that USB drive. Stop. Emily grabbed my hands. Ethan made his choices long before you found out about any of it. He chose the affair, the fraud, everything. My phone lit up with a text from Jake. Turn on the news. The headline made my blood run cold. Green and Associates CEO arrested in major financial scandal. Below was a photo of Vanessa being led away in handcuffs. Another text from Jake. There's more. Ethan's not running, he made a deal. Full cooperation in exchange for immunity. I thought about his performance today, his goodbye to Lucas. Even now, he was playing a role, manipulating everyone around him. Harper. Emily was reading over my shoulder. What are you going to do? I picked up the divorce papers, remembering Lucas's tears, Ethan's lies, all the pain of the past months. I'm going to tell our son the truth, I said. All of it. Because someone in his life needs to show him what honesty looks like. Sometimes rock bottom isn't where you end, it's where you finally see things clearly. The prison visiting room was colder than I expected. Vanessa sat across from me in an orange jumpsuit, her perfect makeup replaced by dark circles under her eyes. 3 months in custody had stripped away her polished exterior, leaving something raw and honest beneath. I didn't expect you to come, she said. Neither did I. I placed the stack of documents between us. But then I found these in Ethan's old office. She glanced at the papers, recognition flickering across her face. Where did you get those? Jake's good at his job. I spread out the emails, correspondence between Vanessa and her father dating back 2 years. You weren't gathering evidence against your father. You were helping him set up Ethan as the fall guy from the beginning. A ghost of her old smile appeared. Smart girl. Finally figured it out. What I can't figure out is why. The affair, the USB drive, warning me about Ethan's involvement. Was any of it real? All of it was real. She leaned forward. Just not for the reasons you thought. Ethan wasn't the only one my father needed to control. I was supposed to be his puppet CEO, carrying on the family legacy of fraud and manipulation. So you used my husband to escape? I used your husband because he was already corrupt. The affair. She paused, something vulnerable crossing her face. That part wasn't planned. Neither was caring about what happened to you and Lucas. My phone buzzed, a text from Emily. Ethan's here. Looking for you. He doesn't know you're here, does he? Vanessa asked.
No.
But he will. I gathered the documents. Because I'm turning these over to the SEC. They prove your father's long-term manipulation, but they also show Ethan's willing participation. No more immunity deal. Harper. Her composure cracked. If you do that, we all go down. Including me. I know. I stood up. But Lucas deserves to grow up understanding that actions have consequences, even for the people we love. The guard appeared to end our visit, but Vanessa called out as I reached the door. I am sorry. About all of it. I believe you. I turned back. That's why I made sure the documents show you were coerced by your father. You'll serve less time. Outside, Ethan was waiting by my car.
Of course he was.
The SEC called me, he said, his usual charm replaced by desperate anger. What did you do? What you should have done, told the truth. I was protecting our family.
No.
I stepped closer, finding strength in my fury. You were protecting yourself, just like you always have. If you do this, I'll lose everything. You already lost everything. The day you decided that success was more important than integrity. I opened my car door. Lucas deserves better than a father who teaches him that lying is okay as long as you don't get caught. Don't pretend this is about Lucas. His voice turned ugly. This is about revenge. Actually, it's about justice. And teaching our son the difference between the two. As I drove away, I watched him shrink in my rearview mirror. The man I once loved, now looking small and defeated in the prison parking lot.
My phone rang. Jake.
SEC got the documents, he said. They're moving forward with new charges. You okay? I thought about Vanessa's confession, about Ethan's desperation, about all the lies and manipulation that had brought us here. But mostly, I thought about Lucas and the future I wanted for him. I'm better than okay, I said. I'm free. When I picked up Lucas from Emily's, he ran to me with a drawing, 3 stick figures standing together. Is this us? I asked. He shook his head. It's my wish, for when everything's better. I held him close, breathing in his innocent hope. Sometimes things get better in ways we don't expect, buddy. But they do get better. Sometimes the truth hurts more than the lies. But it's the only foundation strong enough to build a new life on. 1 year later, I stood in my new studio space, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes and the smell of fresh paint. My graphic design business had grown enough to warrant a real office, something that still felt surreal. The door chimed, and Jake walked in carrying coffee. Place looks good. Very you. Thanks for the recommendation. I hung a framed photo of Lucas on the wall. And for everything else. He shrugged, but I caught his small smile. Over the past year, he'd become more than just the investigator who helped uncover my husband's betrayal. He'd become a friend. Heard about Ethan's sentencing, he said, setting down my coffee. 3 years. I adjusted the frame, making it perfectly level. Vanessa got 18 months, with possibility of early release for cooperation. And how's Lucas handling it? Before I could answer, Emily appeared with Lucas in tow. My son's face lit up when he saw the space.
Mom.
Is this where you're going to make all your pictures now? That's right, buddy. I watched him explore the room, touching everything with curious fingers. He seemed taller somehow, more sure of himself. The weekly therapy sessions were helping. Mail came to my place for you, Emily said, handing me an envelope. I recognized Ethan's handwriting immediately. The return address was the federal prison where he'd started serving his sentence last month. You don't have to read it, Emily said softly. But I did. Because somewhere between revenge and forgiveness, I'd found something else. Peace. Dear Harper, Lucas's drawing arrived yesterday. The one of his science project. He's getting really good. Must take after his mother. The counselor here says I should be honest in these letters, so here's the truth. I think about that night you found the message on my phone. How different things might be if I'd just been brave enough to be honest then. Or better yet, brave enough to be the man you thought I was. I understand now why you did what you did with those documents. It wasn't revenge, it was a lesson in accountability. One I needed to learn. One I hope I can teach Lucas someday, even if it's by being an example of what not to do. I know I have no right to ask anything of you, but please keep sending the drawings. They remind me what matters. Ethan? Mom? Lucas tugged at my sleeve. Can I put my dinosaurs on your desk? I folded the letter, tucking it away. Sure, buddy. But first, help me hang this up. I pulled out a framed piece of artwork, Lucas's stick figure drawing from a year ago, the one with his wish for when everything got better. That's my old picture, he said, surprised. But it's different now. How so? He studied it thoughtfully. Because we're okay being just us, right? I hugged him close, breathing in the scent of childhood and new beginnings. Right. Emily and Jake started unpacking boxes, their comfortable banter filling the space. Through the window, I could see the city stretching out before us, full of possibilities I wouldn't have imagined a year ago. My phone buzzed with a text from my newest client, a domestic violence shelter needing a complete rebrand. After everything, it felt right to use my skills to help others rebuild their lives. Harper. Jake called from across the room. Where do you want these design samples? By the window, I said. Where they'll catch the light. Lucas had moved on to arranging his dinosaurs on my desk, creating little stories for them in whispered voices. Stories about adventure and courage, about falling down and getting back up. I touched the frame of his drawing one last time before joining the others. Sometimes the happy ending isn't about getting everything you wanted. Sometimes it's about discovering that what you need was inside you all along, the strength to stand alone, the courage to forgive, and the wisdom to know the difference between justice and vengeance. And sometimes, just sometimes, it's about letting your son arrange plastic dinosaurs on your desk while the people who stood by you help unpack boxes in your new beginning.